Justice. I'm looking for a change and I try, but I can't find it. I'm looking for a justice. I'm looking for a peace, but these guns on the streets keep talking, keep talking.
This is something I don't understand. I said that I made a statement, and I made a bold statement, and I really meant that shit. And I said that every black person in America should have a picture of Abraham Lincoln somewhere in their house or somewhere in their place of business. And when black people heard that shit, some black people, I should say, not all black people, when some black people heard that shit, they was like, hell no. What the fuck is you talking about? Abraham Lincoln wasn't for us. Abraham Lincoln wasn't trying to free the slaves. Abraham Lincoln was just trying to preserve the Union. That shit wasn't nothing about us. All right? That's pretty much the argument that they have against the greatness of that man. Again, let me say, the argument is really Abraham Lincoln was not for black people. Abraham Lincoln did not care about black people. And his decision to free black people with the Emancipation Proclamation was not for black people. Like people have said, like his heart wasn't pure, and he wasn't really into it, and things like that. And I feel like that's worth I think that's worth examining. Now, you at war, and the Civil War is complicated because some people believe that the Civil War was because the North tried to tell the South, interfere in states' rights, which was against the Constitution at that time, I believe, and the South was offended by it. And then the bigger picture was slavery. I feel was the biggest thing why the Civil War even happened. Now, I said to myself, like, I don't understand how black people could be so mad about honoring Abraham Lincoln by putting a picture. We're talking about a picture. We're not saying that you have to look at this man like Jesus. I said a picture. You should have a picture. You got pictures of a lot of people on your wall right now in your house. Somewhere in your house. You got pictures from Family Dollar. You got pictures from stores. You got art. You got pictures of family members and everything like that as a black person. But I guarantee you, if you really break that down, nobody that's on your wall right now, no picture that you ever bought right now means more than that picture of Abraham Lincoln. Regardless of the fact, if you feel that his heart wasn't pure, he presented the Emancipation Proclamation to Congress, to the people, and they shitted on him. Actually, it was twice he did it. Now, in the beginning of the war with slavery going on, of course, everybody was fucked up with slavery. People didn't know what to do. Should we abolish slavery? Should we keep slavery going on, man? It was like back and forth, man. There was a lot of debates on it, how immoral it was. People was making decisions. Families was being separated, all that type of shit for black people. All these things was happening at that time. So, with all that happening, Abraham Lincoln is a white man. And any white man that stood up against slavery at that time was considered a traitor. That was like an act of treachery or some shit. Like, how are you a black man? I mean, how are you a white man that's going to be able to stand up for black rights? Are you a fucking retard? Are you serious saying this? That's, I bet you, a lot of millions of white people looked at it, especially Southern white people. They're like, you're standing up for these Negroes down here. You're standing up for these niggers down here. I don't understand that. That don't make any sense. Now, if Abraham Lincoln's heart wasn't pure, and if Abraham Lincoln used the Emancipation Proclamation as a way to achieve his big goal, And then along the way of him achieving his big goal, which is like restore the Union, he accomplishes an even more significant goal in saying that, hey, if we win this fucking war, all slaves that are being held captive by those rebellion states, the Confederate states, should be free and will be free. Fuck that, not should be free, will be free. Now, the people in the Union, the Union Army, wasn't even rocking with that shit. They was against it at first. But then Abraham Lincoln did something smart for black people as well. He armed black people and showed black people, like, if you want your freedom, then you need to get out on this battlefield and fight for it. Union soldiers did not want to fight against black people. And also, too, he took the backlash from that, but also it was a strong military move. Like, come on, man, you are the fucking king of the North, basically. Abraham Lincoln, you the president. Right? So you have to make some raw-ass military strategy moves in order for you to achieve your goal and win. And to say that I'm going to free the slaves in those southern states, that means that you have, like, southern soldiers, black soldiers and shit. For instance, if black people are the ones that's putting those saddles on them horses, black people are the one carrying them guns out to those wagons, black people are the one watching those white families, all that type of shit. Now, you can't tell me that ain't a raw ass strategic move to be able to be like, the word get down to black people, like, hey, if we win this war, if we beat your slave masters and your oppressors, you're going to be free. What do you think that does down in the South? That means no black people is helping no white people no more. That means that black people are so full of rage of being in bondage and fucking they having a fucking families and shit murdered, raped, hanged from trees and all, sold away and all weird ass shit. It gives them an opportunity at revenge. The way I look at it, my theory on it, it gives them a chance at revenge. You get to pick up a gun. You've never been able to pick up a gun ever in your life to strike a white man. You've never been able to legally shoot or kill a white man. Do you know how raw that military tactic is right there? Genius. That's a genius move. That is a genius move right there. And regardless of if his heart was pure, regardless if it wasn't his true intentions and already, what is the end result of that? What does that do for black people? It teaches black people, and Abraham Lincoln is the first one to ever do it as a white man, to be able to teach black people, you have to be able to fight and kill for your freedom. Abraham Lincoln, 16th president of the United States, taught black people that. So when people say, like, hey, you do something for black people and a white person's heart ain't pure when they do it, what the fuck does that matter? What really matters? If I'm starving right now, right? Just say I'm starving. I ain't ate in fucking 20 days, right? And I'm starving, and my family's starving, and my kids starving and everything. And a white man walks up to me, dog, with plenty of food, but he doesn't like black people that much. He kind of like them a little bit. He really don't like them. He like them like 30% out of 100. But he feeds my whole family, so I'm not starving. Should I really give a fuck if his heart is pure or not? That doesn't even make sense to say his heart ain't pure if he giving me that, because he doesn't have to give me that. He doesn't have to feed me. He can kill me. He can let me starve. He doesn't have to do none of that. But for the fact of him being able to do that, what does that really say about his heart? He has some compassion. Because the alternative is do nothing. So why do black people, not all black people, but why do so many black people disrespect Abraham Lincoln like that? Especially when all I said was you should have a picture of him in his house, in your house. And what's so crazy about it, that man got shot in the fucking head behind that shit. He got reelected. They wasn't even going to re-elect Abraham Lincoln, to be real, because of the shit with the Civil War. Him saying that shit about the slaves and all that. But the nation had a change of heart and shit. The Union Army had a change of heart. They were winning more battles and shit. And however the soldiers fought or whatever it may be, they fought hard. They fought or whatever. They won. And the Union Army had a whole different morale once black people got on board of that shit. And once black people got involved in that army, Union morale rose huge. Actually, the Union win the Civil War. Abraham Lincoln's president again. But what happens? And this is the crazy shit that I think they don't even teach you in school. Is that night when he was at Ford's Theater, him, I think it was like a Secretary of State dude. I don't know his name. You need to look that up. That was there. And Andrew Johnson, Vice President Andrew Johnson, was there. Now, no, Andrew Johnson is from Tennessee. Andrew Johnson is from a place where you considered Southern, Confederate, or whatever. Now, in the history books, it says John Wilkes Booth was with a bunch of his partners, whatever like that, and they planned to kill all the motherfuckers, though. They planned to kill Lincoln, they planned to kill Andrew Johnson, and they planned to kill the Secretary of State. Right? So, Secretary of State and Abraham Lincoln was there at the theater, of course, but who doesn't show up at the fucking theater when they were supposed to be there? Andrew Johnson. And the question that needs to really be in the history books now and really need to be uncovered is, why was Andrew Johnson not there? Who told Andrew Johnson not to be there? Now, everybody at that time felt Andrew Johnson was a friend of Lincoln because they were under the same flag, basically, and shit. You know what I'm saying? You know what I mean? It was, running mates like. And then when Lincoln died, Andrew Johnson became president. So we got to be able to look at it like that. When Lincoln died, Andrew Johnson immediately became president of the United States. And when he became president of the United States, what did Andrew Johnson achieve? Andrew Johnson, right now in the history books, is considered the worst U.S. president we've ever fucking had. And if you really dig a little deeper, and I'm not going to give a whole history lesson on that shit right now, but if you really, really look deeper into it, after the Civil War and during the Reconstruction period, the Union Army was supposed to be down in the South to be able to make sure black people were safe, make sure black people weren't getting killed, and really enforce the Emancipation Proclamation. That was going to happen if Lincoln didn't die. That's my theory. That was going to happen if Lincoln didn't die. If Lincoln didn't die, Union Army would have stayed down there and made sure black people wouldn't have got fucked up. Right? It probably wouldn't have been no Jim Crow laws like that at that time. And it probably wouldn't be a quick rise of the Ku Klux Klan if Lincoln stayed alive and the Union was down there enforcing that the Emancipation Proclamation takes an effect and black people will be safe. But that didn't happen. Andrew Johnson become president and he does the complete fucking opposite. Why? Like, you under Lincoln, y'all supposed to share the same ideals and everything, supposedly. I'm thinking that's why Lincoln, even had you as a running mate type of situation. So, what happened? What happened with the change of heart? Or was you already like that? So what Andrew Johnson really did as being a person that came from a slave state, I believe Tennessee was a slave state or was close to it. I'm sure it was. Born and raised. And Andrew Johnson gave the South back to white people. And Andrew Johnson basically, in so many words, is like, man, Y'all can have that as long as we get what we want to get. I don't care about them niggas like that, man. Y'all do what the fuck y'all want to do. And he pulled them Union soldiers out of the South, which gave birth really to all that Jim Crow and Ku Klux Klan shit. So anybody that was left in the South at that time as a black person, you was getting fucked up, man. Like, for real. You had to leave. That was like danger zone. I can just imagine the South being decimated. Because I know Sherman, I forgot the one, Sherman. That's all I know by his first name, Sherman. Forgive me if I don't know his last name. Sherman ran through Atlanta, dog, burning up shit. All through the motherfuckers, all down that whole trail and shit, burning up shit, destroying shit. So the South was like decimated, man. The South was like fucked up. That's why the whole Reconstruction shit was so crazy. So any black person that stayed in the South, after that shit happened, you probably was going to get fucked up. You probably was going to be hated. Because you have to look at white people looking at you like you the enemy. You was just our slave. Now you're free, and some of y'all look better than us. Like, the thing is, I think like white people always felt that they were better than black people. But after that Civil War shit happened in the South, they became equal. Like, they both didn't have shit. That's how I look at it. Both was dirty. Both didn't have no homes. Both didn't have no real food or whatever like that. None of that real shit. None of that. The white people was like fucked up then, and black people was really fucked up too, because they were dependent on white people and shit for life and for clothes and for food and shit. So they both in a fucked up situation. So now they have to be able to work together in order to survive. And white people, Southern whites, still had that Southern pride. And regardless how I have personal feelings, like, I'm an objective journalism, right? That's me. I don't go by personal feelings and shit, because I don't know how I would have felt back then and shit. You know what I'm saying? But I could understand how you could be mad. And I can still understand how white people could be like full of rage and want to attack black people and still don't want to be equal as black people and all that type of stuff. I can understand it. I can understand the fierceness to it, because from that, you got to look at the grandchildren of those, and those grandchildren, those great grandchildren that are from those slave owners and from those soldiers that died. Look at all the soldiers that died in the Civil War. All those white people. If you count all the white people in the Civil War on the Southern side, right, that died, and just look at all the ancestors, like the great grandchildren of them and shit like that, I feel like they are going to hate black people because their family members died because of them. They may not understand to that degree and shit, but you going to get those stories in the house. They're going to be like, hey, your granddad, died in the Civil War. Your great uncle died in the Civil War. Your mom died in the Civil War. And they're going to be like, how did she die? Because of these niggers. They were trying to take our niggers from us. Or it could be another reason and shit. I'm just thinking vulgar as possible and shit, because I know they were saying some crazy vulgar shit, probably. So you have that generation of people mad as fuck at black people. Every time they see a black person, they thinking like, you are probably responsible for why I don't have my family members. You are responsible as to why I'm poor. You are responsible as to why I'm just as equal as you are right at this moment. So to separate myself from this madness and everything, what I'm going to do is I'm going to fuck you up and make you remember who is the number one man in this area. That's how I have to look at it, man. I think black people get so emotional when we talk about slavery and bad things that happen to us, but don't think rational and don't really look at the situation for what it is and the benefits from it. There is no way you can say anything fucked up about Abraham Lincoln. Every black person should probably have a tattoo of Abraham Lincoln on their body. You can't say nothing bad about that man ever. I don't care what little shit you pick up. I don't care if you pick up a little mistake or this mistake he made. You have to look at the overall picture and the overall goal that was accomplished. He taught black people that if you want freedom in America, you have to fight for it. This is how America was built with the Revolutionary War. Great Britain and shit, they was treating America like they was fucked up, like they was slaves and all that shit, dog, fucking them over and all that shit, until America got tired of it, until those colonists and shit got tired of that shit. And it was like, man, we ain't dealing with that shit, man. We about to have our own motherfucking empire and our own shit, man. Fuck Great Britain. And Great Britain was probably the biggest army and the best army at the world at that fucking time. And what do those Americans do, man? They didn't even have all that training like that. They wasn't better than Britain like that. They just had stronger morale. And that strong morale helped them win that Revolutionary War because they were going to be free from the claws and the grips of Great Britain. They won. Now you go to the Civil War. Black people involved. And I think the Civil War was really the only war ever in history that I could think of right now, and I might be wrong, that black people were able to take up arms and fight for their own individual freedom. Abraham Lincoln made that possible. You have to name another war where the government, U.S. government, gave them guns and was like, hey, if we win this war, you're going to get something specific for you and your people to make your lives better. When this war is over with, I'm going to put that shit in law. Name me another war that had that attached to it. Abraham Lincoln. He gave them, even though his own Union soldiers didn't even want to fuck with that idea, even though his own people and his cabinet didn't want to fuck with the idea, Lincoln was like, man, we got to let them fight, man. We got to take that chance. We got to let them fight. And he gave black people guns. They trained black people in maneuver. And I just only can imagine what was going through white people's minds. Like, damn, you got black people with guns. They can probably kill us. They can probably kill all of us and everything. All that was going on, man. People were bringing up all that shit. Abraham Lincoln still stuck to his shit. Like, let them fight, man. And they fought. And the Union won they won the war. The Union won the war. So, unless somebody else can offer me some evidence, can offer me some type of real statements besides emotional shit or feelings and shit like that, or you don't personally feel he didn't do, no. Unless somebody can offer me some shit besides feelings, you shouldn't be talking to me. You shouldn't be commenting at all until you actually go deeper into history. There is no white man alive, I feel, that's ever gave black people something so significant at freeing them from fucking brutal slave masters other than Abraham Lincoln. No white person has, I don't know, somebody need to name me a pure-hearted white person that they met. I don't even think pure-hearted white people even exist anymore. I don't think they ever existed. I think that everybody gives you stuff and do stuff for you for some type of motive for themselves. I think that's everybody. Black people do it to black people all day long. But they got pictures of them black people in their house. So we got to think about that. We got to go deeper. Deeper in our understanding in history, and deeper in our understanding of Abraham Lincoln, and deeper into the black culture, and stop being so fucking emotional about shit and just look at facts, man. Just look at what the hell happened, man. Regardless if his heart was pure or not, because the people saying that shit don't know if his heart was pure or not anyway. They don't know, but look at the action. Look at what the man did for black people. Look at that shit.